I'm leaving my husband and getting an abortion. We've been married for a total of 3 months. We knew each other briefly before. For religious reasons, this is common. I'm absolutely sure I'm doing the right thing. This man is incredibly abusive. He curses, yells, and name calls when he's mad over very tiny things, asking him to get toilet bowl cleaner on his way home, or to turn up the TV when the remote is closest to him. Last night, he poked me in the forehead several times. When I slightly raised my voice for him to stop, he erupted in anger, calling me sensitive, and then slapping the back of my head, while calling me a B word on his way out. No, he does not drink or do drugs. He's just 11 years older than me, 23F. Stupid, I know. I'm just over a month pregnant, and since we found out, he's been super excited, telling all his friends and family. In front of them, he's this perfect, charming person, to the point that if I told them what I'm dealing with, they literally wouldn't believe me. He complains about everything, like how much I sleep despite my pregnancy. It's made me incredibly tired. And when he asks me what I want to eat, and I mention something he doesn't think is good food, sushi, Japanese, etc., he gets upset and says that I'm extra. He's dated women from other countries, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, and says that they never complained about his masculinity. And says stuff like, a woman knows when she has a real man. I'm not dealing with any of this feminist stuff. A woman will find a way to deal with the man she's with, and not complain about stuff that doesn't really matter. Feminism because I want you to speak to me with decency. I don't even use that word. Sigh. I'm just over it. Edit 1. I'll post an update in, hopefully, under a month. I also wanted to add that this was not an arranged marriage that I coerced or forced into. I chose to enter this marriage. These behaviors were not present before or even after we married, but rather a week after the pregnancy was confirmed. Update 3. I'm out, I'm free, and I have the termination scheduled for the end of the month. A kind Redditor gave information regarding resources in my area, and I was able to get to a DV shelter that thankfully provides an Uber, or I otherwise wouldn't have been able to make it. I'm taking advantage of every resource available to me here. I spoke to the resource coordinator Friday morning, and they're taking me through the steps to find permanent housing. Although not guaranteed, they have matched me with different agencies in the area. Wish me luck. Additionally, I'm meeting with another person next week to help with employment opportunities. However, on my own time, I'm applying on Indeed any chance I get. As for the abortion, I found an income-based place, and given my current situation, they gave me the lowest price they could, and then a phone number for a nonprofit that provides funding support. Long story short, I'll be able to terminate without further financial hardship. I just want to say that I am so thankful for the support from everyone on here, and I'm so incredibly thankful that I got out before it was too late. Additional details, although not particularly necessary to include, I will anyway because you guys were right about things eventually escalating. Before leaving, I was sitting on the floor, packing the last few items I needed. He clearly saw what was going on and started getting verbal again, which led to him pushing my head towards the metal part of the bottom of the bed. I'm not sure what it's called. I shifted, and my body thankfully hit it instead. The bruise I had is finally, after a week, going away. You guys were right, unfortunately. Sigh. But it's over. Second story. I think my sister and my husband may be too close for comfort. 8 months ago, my sister moved back into town. A small backstory. She has not lived here in 10 years, as she originally left for college and never came back. We grew apart. We talked maybe once a year, and I haven't seen her physically in 4 years. I've been with my husband for 8 years, married 3. She has met him twice in the entire duration of my relationship with him. He's a quiet and serious man who only opens up in front of me and a few of his select friends. She was struggling to get a job here, so I thought I'd be a good person and asked my husband if he could maybe help her find a job at his company since they work in the same type of field. Fast forward to current times. They actually work in the same department now. He's been acting more closed off towards me lately, but he claims everything is fine when I ask him what is wrong. We had our traditional family Christmas meal yesterday, and at first he tried to get out of it. This is not something he's ever tried to do, and I was very confused by it. After some convincing, he finally agreed to come along. My sister pulled him aside a few times, and they were in a very deep conversation, as if the rest of us didn't exist. When I approached them every time, they both would jump a little, and when I'd ask what they were talking about, they would say, a work project that's nearing its deadline. I was feeling a little off about their behavior, but the one thing that got me the most was that at one point he got up to go get himself another drink. She was sitting in a chair that was next to the kitchen door, so he had to pass her to go to the kitchen. When he was near her, she put her hand up and reached towards him, and he caressed her palm and lightly grabbed her fingers as he walked past her. She looked up at him with a big smile. He looked down at her and nodded his head. As soon as he was out of sight, she turned her head towards me and smirked at me. I later asked him what that was about, and he said, "It's just a high five." I said it didn't look like a high five, and he said that's all it was. I've never had any reason to suspect him of cheating, but this has me feeling on edge. I've been battling with myself to investigate further. Another thing is that he doesn't focus that strongly when he and I talk. It's always just short answers and lighthearted. They were having some intense conversations, where he was hanging on to her every word and giving her in-depth responses. TLDR. I am starting to suspect my husband and my sister may be having an affair or are beginning to think about doing so. I feel like I'm overreacting, but I have no one else to vent to. Update. I apologize for not updating sooner. I've been busy getting things sorted out. After my first post on Tuesday, I asked my husband if he'd go on a little weekend getaway with me. We went to a cabin up in the mountains. Neither of us had cell phone service. I planned for that, as I wanted to make sure I had his full attention. The first night went fantastic, and I almost forgot everything about my concerns with my sister. When we woke up the next morning, we cooked breakfast together, but he was rather quiet. I asked if he'd go on a little walk with me, which he agreed to. When we reached the lake, there were some large rocks that you could sit on. We both sat on the same rock, and we sat there in silence for what felt like forever. I finally got the courage to bring up the concerns I had with my sister and him, and his face went white. He admitted to falling in love with my sister. He said that it all started because of how much they have in common. They spend more time together at work than he does with me at home. He said he feels like he can talk to her about anything, and it never gets tiring. He said he's never felt more alive than he does when he's with her, and they started having a physical affair in October. The emotional affair began in June after working with her for a couple of months since the end of April. He apologized for hurting me and deceiving or betraying me. I asked him what he wanted to do about it, and he said that, as much as he knows, it will hurt me to say that he is no longer in love with me. The most painful thing I've ever heard in my life is when he said that the way he feels for her made him realize that he's never felt that way for me, even at the time when he loved me the most. He said it's not comparable by any measure, and he doesn't feel right staying married to me. We are splitting in agreement that the marriage is over. But yes, I am heartbroken. They have both applied to transfer jobs to a different city with the same company, and he offered to let me keep the house. I told him that I didn't want the house because it reminded me of him or us. We have split the finances, and he is giving me more money than he is taking. We are getting ready to list it for sale, and I have been packing and doing odds and ends like painting. He said I could keep the full amount of the house sale. New carpet and flooring come tomorrow, and the movers come this afternoon. I found a small house for myself to start fresh. But I know it will take some time for me to not be so heartbroken. My sister, on the other hand, is not handling it as kindly as he is, and she is gloating. She even accidentally sent me a photo of both of them, where you can tell she is in heaven because she won him away from me. She changed her profile photo to a picture of her taking a selfie of herself, smiling very smugly as he kissed her forehead. I unfollowed her on TikTok because now she's posting videos and photos of them together. Some of them are from months ago, and it kicked me in the heart. I asked him if he could please ask her to stop. He said he'd talk to her about it, but nothing has changed. I have removed myself from social media for now, except for Reddit. My mother is favoring my sister's side, saying that she's not posting those things to hurt me, and my sister deserves to be happy. My mom said it's my fault for looking, and I need to stop being so petty. My father is raising the white flag and said he'd like to stay out of it. He said it wasn't right what my sister did, but she's still his daughter. He said he wouldn't accept their relationship, and he is here for me for whatever I need, but he won't be in the middle of this. I respect his decision on that. I'm sure it's not an easy place to be in. Thank you all for the kind words and all of the advice that was given. I probably didn't add everything, but my brain is kind of foggy at the moment. My husband admitted to being in love with my sister and having an affair. He asked for a divorce, and they are pursuing their relationship officially. Edit. For those thinking that this is unrealistic because it was magically resolved in 18 days, it is far from resolved. They are moving to a different office because, as he said, he feels guilty and doesn't want to be near me. They have not transferred yet because they couldn't for a while due to a lack of openings. I worded it wrong, which is my fault. I wanted to update as much as possible to try to put closure on this for those asking for an update. Also, I am NC with all of them, except my STBX at the moment, and will be for a long time, if not forever. I will be in NC with him after the divorce. Thank you for watching the video.